cast and all that kind of stuff from doing this Mac Fun Live thing. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I bet you have.
It's I have Restream IO Premium now, Mike. If you ever want to do, I don't know what you're using to.
I'm using Joycaster, which is one of the competitors to Restream.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Are they fairly good, well priced, or are they?
They are. Well, I don't know what is. I think I'm paying $25 a month actually.
$14.99 at Restream. So far, I haven't really made use of it yet, but I can stream to Twitch and to YouTube and to Facebook all at the same time. So I haven't tried yet, but
yeah, well, Twitch is supposed to be able to record to these same places.
Twitch is where all the money is right now.
Really?
Cracks me up.
I've cranked it back up again. Let's hope it stays.
So should I be getting Aurora?
Oh man, let me tell you what. Not just because it's not just because what was the old saying? It's not because I play a doctor on TV or not because I own the company or whatever. But I've been a Photomatix guy forever, and I did a comparison video for them that's going to be coming out, and Photomatix, I never liked the interface of Photomatix. So I love the results, but I didn't like the interface because a lot of the things that they put on the interface just were Greek. They didn't make sense to me, and I couldn't be very creative in there if I wanted to be, because half of the stuff, most of the time I'm just moving sliders to see what they do. Nothing really, that annoys me. And the thing that they did with Aurora, I would take stuff out of Photomatix and I'd put it back in Lightroom because I understand everything in Lightroom and it makes sense. Clarity's clarity. I get it. It makes a new layer and you put a new preset on top of that, so you can stack presets and mix them and then paint them in wherever you. I mean, it is really an awesomely creative tool. And the thing I like about the Mac Fun stuff that they're developing for the PC now, which is awesome. But the big thing for the ones are very realistic HDR. And for years I've taught HDR to people, and the first thing I tell them is you have to create a natural flat image in order to move forward with your creativity. Right. Otherwise, you're reverse engineering what's already there. So like if you press a preset and it looks like, a cartoon, you've got to reverse engineer that to get it back to where you want to, or
where
make
you want
the change.
Right.
Right, yeah. And if you don't understand how it got there, which a lot of people don't, then they just hate HDR. That's their reaction. Hate it. Don't like it. I don't understand it. But now all the presets that they have in there, the realistic naturals and all this stuff. And I have a preset pack coming out called Supernatural, which is all based on just all the flat images to start your creativity with. That makes it so much easier to then be creative by adding in glow or radiance or dodge and burn, which they have a dodge and burn brush in there now that you can do right in the program. So, that's the big thing for me. If I can start out with a flat image, I'm happy. So, and I can do it all in one program. I don't need Lightroom for it. I can, the thing that amazed me is I'm able to drag and drop photos from Lightroom. I select my 3 photos, drag them over to the Aurora window, and it starts processing them. Like no dialogue, just drag and drop. So.
All right, I think we're back. So Gary's you're out there on YouTube.
I am in chat.
Let's get us a sound check. And I don't know what happened there, but we lost both of them for a second. And our bandwidth is fine. So
I got my window really small right now, so trying to keep it at return bandwidth. Although I do have yellow bars as usual with Skype. I got my window really small right now, so.
Yeah, I think I need to reload the video driver on this machine. So before we go, but I didn't want to do that. I want to do this. I am so out of sync here. There we go. Before we get started on the show, so we'll say this is the pre-show here, right? Just a few minutes and we'll start. I'm going to try, because I know you got a lot going on tonight, AD, and you got endless amount of information you can give us. So I'm going to try and rein you in a little bit so we can get you out of here so you get some sleep tonight, because you got work. I know you got work to do later. So what I'm going to try and do is limit maybe some of the photos. We got a number of photos that were entered this month. I'll try and limit them, and I am going to do a little bit of an intro because we're doing this as a combo show. Tim is joining us tonight. We're going to do mainly photo review show, but I'm going to do just a couple minutes up front of the JPEG to RAW show, and then we'll get started. And I have my iPad here too, so I added another screen, so hopefully I can see the chat. And since I only have one Apple device and I don't have a real Apple ecosystem here, what I'm using to keep it propped up so I can see it is my GorillaPod, which is working great. I got it laying down. The two legs are like the support, and then the third leg is the back and is keeping it like that. And I got multiple slots I can stick it in for the angle. It's working great.
Dude, I know it's going to work for you, but I'm going to 3D print you something for your iPad. I'm going to pick something and print it. I'll just send it down to you.
Okay. All right. You ready to get started here? I'm a little rusty because we hadn't done something in a while, so hopefully I haven't forgot something. I got all the recording happening, I think.
I was going to say you are recording, right?
I am recording, yes. I am recording.
I've been too busy working out, man.
We're going to talk a little bit about that in the post-show. And some other things going on, but
yeah, you've been crushing me, but we'll get to that later.
Hang out for the post show to hear how I've been crushing Tim. All right. This is JPEG. Let's start that over. This is JPEG to RAW photo review show number 16, where we're going over the August 2017 photos. Tonight we're joined by Tim along with AD and I, and we're going to do a little bit of a show. We're going to call it show number 201. I'm going to release this episode in both the photo review show feed and the regular JPEG to RAW feed. So I think some of the people in the regular JPEG to RAW feed have been missing out on the photo review show, and we're going to introduce them to this if they haven't seen it already. So just as a little intro for the JPEG to RAW show, I've talked in the past about it, and I brought this up again, and I just want to give a little update, and that is on crash plan and my backup plan. Since we've talked, there's been numerous things happen around the world that lots of bad things happen to those people, but they're talking about bringing it back just to photography and the storage and the backup I've been talking about. That is, you think about deleting a file, losing a hard drive, all that kind of stuff. These things can happen to you too. If you lived in one of these places around the world where these things have happened, and you needed to have a backup plan to have that stuff stored somewhere, and even if you didn't, you could have a robbery or a fire or something like that. So that off-site backup is so critical, and it's what I'm still struggling with. And now that crash plan is gone, I think I have a good internal backup program. I like AD. I run Unraid. And I have my original and then the Unraid version, and that's worked well. But CrashPlan was a good, inexpensive, unlimited backup source for me, at least. And I had close to 14 terabyte of storage there, which they're going to delete all of it. Because I had over 5 terabyte, they're going to delete everything. So one of the things that made me rethink, and this is something maybe if you don't have that much data, then you probably have a lot better options. But one of the things that made me rethink is, do I really need to back up online all 14 terabyte of that? So I'm going to get a lot more critical on what I'm going to back up online. The other option is, and one of the things I'm going to do, like this podcast tonight, we'll produce 100 gig worth of data, or at least 100 gig. And that's 8 gig of my 8 terabyte of my 14 terabyte is the podcast stuff. So I'm just going to buy my plan right now at least, buy 4 terabyte drives. Once I fill one up, I'll bring it into work, and just do that. And that's stuff that if I did lose it, it's not the end of the world. Photos and tax returns and some of those things are things I really want to have backed up. But the podcast files, I could survive if I easily survive if I lost a month or two of podcast files. So that's my update.
So, Mike, with the podcast files, though, don't you upload the show to Vimeo?
I upload it to Vimeo, YouTube, and Podbean, the actual physical file. But it is the edited file, and it is the compressed file. So the originals is what is causing all the large file size. I think we'll have 80 gig worth of originals recorded tonight.
So what do you record at then? What do you just 1080p, or do you record at a large?
It's going to get a little crazy here because I'm actually recording twice the video and then a third time for the audio, and 2 different bit rates. One bit rate I think is 75 megabit. Is that right?
Okay.
Yeah, something like that. And that'll produce, depending on how long we go, that'll produce somewhere between a 40 and 60 gig file. And then the other one would be somewhere in a 20 gig, and then the audio will be around 2 gig.
I'm just wondering if my thought is to save you a little bit the possibility of uploading to a site like Vimeo if you have a pro account, which is unlimited, I think, and then making those backups private so no one can get them. They would be stored on their servers so that you could retrieve them, correct?
I think so. Yeah,
just a thought there.
The other problem when you produce that kind of data and then you are producing it on a regular basis, we've missed a few weeks here.
Yeah.
But it's almost like your computer, especially with my upload speed, is working the entire week the upload before it gets around to the next week when you got more to do.
Yeah, I'm working with 4K files. I'm about to move to 8K files, and it's just simply, when you start moving that amount of data, when I go out and shoot, it's those days around after I shoot and I'm backing up data. Yeah, it is a lot of bytes moving around.
It is.
And a lot of tie up.
Yeah, that once you start shooting video with either your DSLR, your various cameras, your drone, you can chew up data really, really fast. And then you got to decide, do I really want to back that up online? Do I have the bandwidth and the storage online to do that with? So you might have to look at other options. So that's where if I finally decide
how much data is 8 gigs in, let's say, a half hour? How big is that? It's going to be huge.
Yeah. 8 gigs? How much data?
Oh, you mean 8K?
8K. Sorry.
Well, I wouldn't shoot like if
I know 8 gigs.
Yeah, if I shoot any 8K stuff, it's going to be like A/B roll stuff where I'm going to end up cropping in, or most of the time, like you wouldn't shoot 8K natively. You'll shoot it in the camera, and then maybe you'll produce a 4K video from the 8K video. So most 4K video producers are shooting in 5K. And then that gives them wiggle room to actually move the shot or zoom in a little bit and still have resolution at 4K. So you shoot above what you're shooting to.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so I shoot at 4K a lot, and then I edit down to 1080p. That allows me the ability to move my shot around if I don't have it framed right, or track something and not have all that extra wiggle room around the outside. But still, those raw files, like Mike is talking about, I have to send them over to my server. I have them on my production machine, and then I have to move them to offsite, and it's the offsite move that takes so long to move. And right now, I'm not shooting like any podcasts or anything like that in 4K, so I don't have these hour-long shows. I can't even imagine, although I can, because I do have a gaming channel, and on the gaming channel I shoot in 3440 by 1440, which is ultra wide. It's not quite 4K, but it ends up being about the same data and I shoot that at 130 megabits per second.
Wow.
At 60 frames per second. And generally those files I'll do like
too.
Yeah. So I'll shoot like a 20-minute episode, and it'll end up being roughly 25 gigs.
Jeez.
And then, but once I edit those, I don't keep the raw footage anymore because it's just I'm doing a playthrough or I'm doing a review of a video game, and I don't really, I don't need that footage after I've produced it, so, but otherwise I would have to be making backups of like my stuff from my drone and all that kind of stuff. I make backups of all that, and it just takes a lot of bandwidth.
Yeah, so if you don't produce the kind of large amounts of data that AD and I are doing, if you're not doing a lot of video or stuff like that, and you're really just looking to back up photos, and you're looking to back up maybe some other documents like that, and you've got, I don't know, let's say 5 terabyte or less, there's lots of options. You still could use CrashPlan. You could go with a business plan, or you could use something like Backblaze. There's some other options. There's lots of other options actually for you to do stuff like that. Eventually, if I settle on something that works, because the thing about CrashPlan, it was automated and it just did it. And I need something that's going to be fairly automated and just do it too. So I'll try and post something or talk about it later if I do it.
Yeah, you're actually going to see too, just on the news front, I'm going to be talking about this over on my the Weekly Fat podcast that I'm doing. The another new thing that's coming out, and it just changed over, is Google has changed from Google Drive to backup and sync now.
Right.
They're actually looking to pick up on that backup market now, and you can assign individual folders, individual files now to be backed up to Google Drive and your storage. And I think they're thinking about actually making it a lot more affordable for everybody as well. So there's something to keep in mind there, especially for anybody who's looking at 5 terabytes or under. I mean,
lots of options. Yeah.
Right. There's a lot of options. Dropbox and WeTransfer and a lot of different companies out there. So.
Okay, so we're going to say that part was the JPEG to RAW photography podcast. Now we're going to move into the photo review show, and we had a lot of entries this month, so we don't go 2-3 hours. I'm going to try and limit them. So some people entered a photo in both our beginner and our regulars group. I'm going to do my best not to pick both of your photos, so you don't take up the slots, and you may not get picked this month. I don't know. I don't have any great way of picking who's going to do it. If you're new, I'm going to try and pick your photo, but no guarantees there either. So, I'm a little rusty here, so let me get this ready and see.
Mike, let me just put it out there too. Why don't we just head into this and I will just keep them short and brief. We're not going to go deep tonight.
Okay.
Like I told you earlier, it's something I've got to practice anyway. So I will do my best to keep it.
Yeah, and guess what? So I'm talking about I'm rusty. I don't even have the stuff up. Hold on a second.
I do.
I don't know what
you
order
sent them
I
to
should
me?
even go in. Yeah, because I try and help AD with going in somewhat of an order. Here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go.
I was going to say, you sent them to me, so you must have them.
I do have them.
You could always go to the...
No, I just saw him log in. He just logged in on my screen.
Yep.
You've been spied.
Okay, let's see. I need to still be able to see all the chat. All right, so first up, let me find that photo. We're going to do the beginners group first.
Yep.
Once I find the photo. Here we go. This photo. And get rid of that. Bring that over. And the photographer for this one is Stephen Meese. I will find his name here. Good gosh, it's a long list. Here we go. Wait. I've already messed up. Hold on. There we
you're
go.
right.
There we are.
You're good.
No, still not right.
No, he doesn't want to be in the big picture. There you go.
There. Was that right? Yes.
That's like the Brady Bunch around here.
There we go. Okay, now everything's right. I should be back on track, everybody. All right, the first one up is Stephen Meese, and I think this... I know. Oh, boy. This one was actually the winner in the contest over there. And let's see if I can get... This is Stephen's first contest entry. Feedback is appreciated, he said. Then he gives us his camera, which is a Canon 5D Mark II.
Cool.
And their theme was black and white. So I think all of theirs you're going to see is black and white.
Oh, so all right. Just let me put it out there that my slideshow says the theme is open. So I'm like, wow, did they all coordinate? Did they all shot black and white this month? That makes more sense to me now. So.
Yeah, I think I did that last night. I must have
Mike,
copied a previous month.
Mike, you are getting rusty, buddy.
I am getting rusty.
Yeah.
Mine says black and white suddenly.
Suddenly. Wow. Amazing.
Oh, boy. All right.
We're having fun here, kids.
We are. I actually like this one. I actually pulled up every one of these into Lightroom, and I will tell you that I've seen a theme along, at least in the beginners, where some things were underexposed, and the histogram was all pushed to the left. This one, lends itself to a little bit to have some underexposed areas in those trees and everything. But I like this one.
Yeah, I don't know what order you want to go in here. It's you're in command there, Mike. I'll just jump in. Yeah. So no, I meant as far as who's gonna
Oh.
say they're. My only thing with this photo is it's quite dark in those trees that you pointed out already, and that kind of pulls your eye down into that area, because you know how dark contrasts in a corner will always pull your eye away. I think that if he could have lightened that up just a little bit and balanced the image a lot more, I think that's all I would really suggest with this image. It's a great moment, good dramatic skies. I've taken photos like this myself, so it's I definitely could understand why you'd want to, pull over or hike out here or whatever he did in order to take this shot. So,
I recently calibrated both of my monitors there in front of me. I have a bunch, but the two main ones, I calibrated them. And it's real misleading because the ones that I'm seeing you guys on are not calibrated, so they're brighter and images look better on them. When I first reviewed this photo, it looked much better and much better exposed until I brought it over to my calibrated monitor. And
Correct.
I would say that I don't know what everybody else is using. You never know what your viewer is using, of course, but you want to start from something a known quality. And so
Right.
if you have not calibrated your monitor, I would highly advise doing that and getting some kind of calibrator. There are even things you can do to get it closer online or something like that. If you're pulling up your image and you think it looks properly exposed, but the histogram's pushed one way or the other, that's a sign too that you got something going on.
Yeah, and so I view on a calibrated monitor and calibrate these about once a month, sometimes more often if they get wacky, which going into different video modes can cause that to happen in your monitor too. So if you calibrate your monitor and you have somebody who plays video games on your system or sometimes runs full screen video, sometimes that will mess up your color profile and you've got to reset it. So just keep that in mind. I used Calibrize when I first started, which was an online program that you could download. It's totally free, and it just has a bunch of tests that you run. And Windows itself has a bunch of tests that you can run, and I know the Mac does as well. But I think, like once you start getting into photography, you want to get something like a Spider or an X-Rite, a Color Monkey, something like that. They're not that expensive, and once you learn to calibrate your monitor with them and see the difference, it's amazing.
It is.
And then see what we calibrate for is we're not calibrating for the world, because we don't know what the world has for monitors, and to think that you could do that is crazy and insane. What we calibrate for is to make sure that when you create a photo, it's within gamut. So if it goes to print, then you're not going to end up with spots that don't have detail in them or spots that are blown out. And the biggest thing that I tell people is when you're thinking about making a photo and putting it out there, careful of what you wish for. I've had many people release a photo that maybe was had noise in it or something, but when you shrunk it down, it looked good. And then lo and behold, someone come along and be like, I want to buy that. Can you print it large? And they have to say no.
Yeah.
And that sucks, right? So yeah, when I look at it, for sure, I can guarantee you that I'm looking at it on a calibrated monitor, and that one side is a bit dark and shadowy, which is kind of cool. But then if you're going to do that, you might want to burn the left-hand side a little bit too, and bring the brightness down there so it's balanced, because otherwise my eye is just going to go to this right-hand corner and I'm not getting out there into the valley. And you really want to bring people out to the valley and see those beautiful God rays coming down and all that. So that's all I had on that one, though.
Yeah, I've had all kind of things happen. My earpiece just fell out. So, and not only the brightness and that thing, the tint, the color. When I first calibrated this one, I knew it had drifted off because I could see a blue tint to these things, and it was undercalibrated. When I first calibrated them, the first impression was, wow, that's way too warm. Something's wrong. And I think I did it wrong the first time, so I had to do it again. It was a little too warm, but it will look different than what you're used to. But it's if you're not editing on a calibrated monitor, who knows what you ended up with?
Yeah, that's
go ahead.
Tim.
Good thing I noticed also is that the LCD monitors versus the old monitors definitely hold a lot longer. I probably do I don't think I'm down to every month anymore. I'm probably every other month doing it, and definitely holds the color temperature a lot longer. And I have two monitors here, and my left one is my main one. If I'm doing any editing, that's the one I'm going to do it on.
Yeah, and Mike, you mentioned the difference in color temperature. Yeah. Keep in mind too that one of the things that when you start, that'll drive you nuts when you start calibrating your monitor. I use a program called DisplayCal because it's a very high-end calibration system. It's much better than what comes with the calibration unit that you with the software that you get with the actual unit. And you can actually set the color temperature of the lights in your room, which affect what you see on the screen. So it takes a measurement for the room, or you say, well, I've got 5,000K lights or 5,500K lights in here, and you pick a level of light that you have in your room when you're editing, and it will match it to that. So it will change the white balance ever so slightly, and it's really weird the first time you do it because, like you said, you'll notice that things that may have looked white suddenly look like a yellow, but then after a few days of you looking at that, it looks white to you again.
Right.
It's like your eyes have to adjust.
Your eyes adjust.
And as we close out on that, Jade had asked out in Facebook chat, what calibrator do we use? I use I'm probably not going to be able to, yeah, I can. Y'all can see that, huh? The Spider 5.
I have the Spider 4 still.
Yeah.
Me too.
Oh, thank you. I feel better. It's the same one I got.
Which way?
I would tell you a trick that apparently everybody else knew but me. I mentioned this before, but I'll say it again. When you put it on your monitor, and there's a point there where it's got to sit there for a good while, minutes. And if I was sitting there holding it with my arm, and then that arm would get tired, and I'd put up the other arm and do that. Yeah, it has a little thing that goes over the top of the back of your monitor,
the weight.
but it doesn't fit flat. It fits at at an angle. And I was afraid that angle that's sitting in would let in too much light or wouldn't read right. So like AD's showing it's not going to fit flat. The thing to do is just tilt your monitor backwards. Hopefully it's on some kind of stand where it can tilt backwards. You tilt it backwards, and then the gravity will keep it holding there flat. So much easier to calibrate now. I don't have to build up my
stand there for
strength.
2 minutes.
Do that. All right, let's go on to the next one. I'm going to do the very next one, AD, because I think this is a new person also.
Okay.
This one is William Alexander. I don't, William, if you entered before, I'm sorry, but I don't remember you entering. And no information really here for this one.
Oh dear.
Sorry.
Well, we'll tell him right out that the number one thing that you want to do, William, when you send an image in, especially for me, if we do like a full-blown review show, is please provide me with the information of why you took the photo, not your camera information, which is fine. You can, if you're unsure about your technical abilities, you can include the camera information. That's fine. But even ask questions. You're more than welcome to ask a question when you submit your photo and say, I use these settings. Do you think that's good? Or whatever in the beginners group. But always tell me why you took the photo and why you processed it in the way that you did, because that will help me try to reach your goal, because my opinion on your photo doesn't mean crap. Basically, what I'm trying to do for you is I'm trying to get inside your head and figure out what you're trying to do, which I don't know. When I look at a photo, I have my own reasons for looking at it and liking it or disliking it. But without that information, I can't get you to your end goal. So if you say, well, I'm trying to create a dramatic picture of clouds, and I thought this looked like a hole in the sky and reminded me of this movie, but then I have to be like, yeah, okay, you're right there, you're on it. Other than that, I have to just guess, and that isn't going to give you the help that you need. So when you guys submit in the beginners group especially, please tell me why you took the picture and why you processed it in the way you did, and then I can help you better. And that's just on my end of it. So the rest of it's going to be opinion. So, that's all I could give you on this particular photo. I think it's cool. I like it. That's
all right. So let's move on let's go down to the train one.
Okay.
Looking at yours. If I skip one that you really wanted to do, you can always let me know, and I'll go back. And this is Jade Cook, who I think is out there tonight. There's
yes,
Jade.
in Facebook.
Yep, out there on Facebook. This is from Jade. And I will say that when I looked at this one did look like it was a proper exposure in Lightroom.
Yeah, I don't know if
better.
you guys want to take a crack at these. I mean,
I like this picture, but I think in my mind this almost would have been better in a landscape picture versus the vertical, because you got a lot of space at the top of this, where I would like to see more of that smoke trail going towards the back of the train. But I love trains anyway, so to me I love the shot overall because of that. But I think in my mind, I'd like to have seen the trailing edge of the train and the smoke trail going all the way to the back of it.
And I don't know if y'all see this. There's something that my eye keeps going to around the first car. It almost like a ghost of a person or something. I'm looking at a smaller version of this, so maybe I'm not seeing it right. But do you see that?
Yeah, now that you say, I see something there, but I don't know what it is.
I don't know if that's a ghost of a person or just what? I don't know what it could be.
I'm currently having two things. There's two things that caught my eye with the image. The one is the ghost that you're seeing, Mike, which I can't tell what it is. It almost looks like it might have been shot through a window with a reflection, but I don't know what that is. And then there looks to be something that was cloned out or something that was done with the tree right over the front light. Like maybe I'm not seeing it
Unless
right.
That's clouds or something. I don't know. It is a weird effect.
Jade's
out there.
Like
he might be able to tell us.
Yeah. And I don't
the
have
top
any
of the tree doesn't look right. Something's.
Yeah, I don't have any information on the actual. Okay, so Jade is saying that the landscape brought in more trees and spectators. That was a pole for the power lines and electric trains. And so, Jade, tell me if you're out there. So you tried to remove those from the actual shot. Is that what you did? And I'll wait here for a second. I know we're like 90 seconds behind.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Jade, I would say that if you're interested, sometime we can hang out and maybe I can teach you some editing tricks for stuff like that. Power lines are a pain in the ass.
They are.
And I will tell you a little trick. So here's a little trick for everybody. I'll give you a tidbit of information. I learned this from somebody else. So when you're taking a shot like this and you see that there are power lines in the background, here's a little trick that you can do. Take your main shot of the train the way that you want to. Wait till the train leaves because it looks like the train was leaving. And then after the train is gone, either move your tripod up or down, either way, without changing the angle of the camera or anything, just the height of the tripod. So you would use the center column and move it either up if you have it all the way down, or down if you have it all the way up, and take another photo. And then when you go home, you'll be able to easily remove those lines from the photo by overlaying the two as layers in Photoshop and just erasing one of them. Because what you do is change the angle of the wires, and then it reveals the things behind it, which give you those patches to be able to take the wires out cleanly. That's a really
great little tip. I never even thought of it.
It's a fun little thing that you can do, but you have to be on a tripod, obviously, and just change your height. That's all you do. Don't angle your camera. Don't do anything like that. Just the height is all you need to do.
Gary and Jordan also said they would like to have seen this from a lower angle because it looks like maybe he's standing on a platform.
Yeah, for me,
and of course, a lower angle. If it's a moving train, you got to be careful there too.
Yeah, for me, the main thing, right? The main thing for me was just the fact that the train is coming through the middle of the frame, and I really would have liked to seen it in the lower half with all of that dramatic sky and stuff up above, or have the train up higher. But I don't think it works with the train up higher.
The train's got to be below.
Got to be low. So yeah, I would have put it lower in the frame, in the lower third, with the front of the train, or the engine of the train itself should have kind of been cutting right through the thirds of the image where it's right in the center right now. So.
All right. Hey, here's a tip for you guys. If you're out in chat, I'm going to do my best to make sure I pick your photo.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. So Kristen is out there, and we're going to pick her photo here, which is of, maybe it's her child. I don't know, but of a baby. Let me find her name so I can put it up. There we go. Kristen Lee Anderson.
Cool.
And I was it is her son. Her son's first sink bath at the beginning of this month. He is 8 years old and absolutely loves sink baths. And I remember when she posted it, I commented that I liked giving my kids sink baths because it meant I didn't have to get on my knees to give them a bath, a bath in the tub.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, so I like the moment here. I think one of the things, Kristen, is that bright light off on the window off to the right it really draws me away with that photo. I'm looking over here because that's where my photo is. So I don't know if you could have pulled that curtain in or done something to have made that a little less bright there. But yeah, did I say 8 years old? I meant 8 months old. She's correcting me. He's definitely not 8 years old. He's 8 months old. To me, that's the biggest distraction in this photo. If you could, I would have maybe by doing that, your exposure would have brightened his eyes a little bit too. That's
I think that close up, the backlighting's a tricky thing. So I kind of get what you're going for here, the real natural kind of look. For me, the plant coming out of the head is the one that is, immediate for beginners. Always be careful of what's behind your subject. For me, I think you still could have gotten the story of the shot, which would have been the sink, right? And the bubbles and stuff. I love all of that part of the image, and it's a sweet image. I mean, this is a moment for you. So there's no going to be making this photo any better for you. That's, that's a given. But I think as far as like maybe an artistic shot or something like that, moving to your right and a little closer in, and getting him to look more towards you, taking the sink and the water purifier out of it, and using that backlight as kind of a dramatic side shadow light. And when you turn his head, the light would have lit up the pupils of his eye over on the one side, and that really would have had the glimmer in the eye kind of effect there. And a lot of times when we do these straight on shots, they're kind of what I always have called a matter of fact shot. So it's like straight on, and it's just like, it's like a documentary shot, and so if you wanted to add a little bit of creativeness to it, a little bit of artistic, I think I would have gone more with a portrait orientation of the camera and closer up and then over to the right, and not made it so squared up to the sink. And those, just try that. I'm sure there's going to be more sink baths. If he's smart, he'll keep taking them till he's 8, because you don't want to have.
It's awkward.
Right. Well, when you have to do all this stuff for yourself as an adult, I don't know if I'm speaking directly to your child or not, but if I knew now what I should have known
like
then.
Shaving.
Yeah, I would have never grown up. I'd be like, no, do it for me. Somebody do it for me.
One more thing I'll add, this is my AD voice coming in, is it does have a little bit, it is leaning a little bit to the right. And I don't know if that is the lean to the right or the angle of the camera, and I know, AD gives us these pointers, and you go, how could I ever get that perfect in camera? Well, you often can't. I mean, maybe AD can. I know I can't. But that's why we do some of these things in post, is to you're not that far off with that. Just a little bit would have leveled it off.
Well, and this is her son in a bubble bath in the sink. I mean, it's a win-win-win situation for her. I think if you want to become a portrait, an infant portrait photographer, and you're going to use your son as like, this is my portfolio, then start thinking about those, and she said, I saw her in chat, she said she did take some shots from the right, but she didn't like them as much. And I'm just basically giving you ideas, Kristen, so that you'll experiment with maybe changing the camera orientation or thinking about the light in his eyes and things like that. And you'll come up with stuff that's way better than what I'm suggesting, because you're there. So the whole idea is just, give you that little creative nudge.
So, and Mike, I see what you're saying with the front is kind of leaning down towards the right, but if you look at it, the windowsill is actually going upwards.
Nancy just corrected me with that too. So they say it's a 1923 house.
Slightly up.
Yeah,
right.
She says 1923 house. So as I look around, what is off on the countertop may not be the same off on the windowsill. You're right.
Right. The windowsill is.
Then you got to get even more creative if you want that, and because there is an angle where they'll both match. You just have to find it.
Yeah.
And I could put this in Lightroom and straighten it in 2 seconds and have it perfectly level on both of them.
And that could be that it's not this way level. It's more this way, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
That's the level that's changing the two.
Yeah.
Yep. But I mean, that's for me in the shot. It's neither here nor there. I would try different angles. I think the matter of fact shot here doesn't really suit this. Like if I'm shooting a train or a billboard or something where I want you to look at just the design of something and take it in as a whole, but we have a subject here, so I don't want the framing to compete with that unless it's framing the subject better. So, I mean, getting closer in would have removed the black line from the bottom underneath the counter, and then probably would have been maybe a non-issue with the being unleveled, because she would have moved forward and then just leveled the window pane behind him, and so just some thoughts there for trying different things. Keep going. I mean, you've got a wonderful subject.
She's got a great eye.
Yeah.
And definitely, Gary says this is definitely a keeper. Yeah, and
yes.
A lot of these things we're talking about, things you're going to be very difficult to perfect in the shot. You're going to have to do it after the fact. So with that, all right, let's move on to the next one. How many have we done in the beginner so far?
I'm ripped.
3, 1, 2, 3.
I think Nancy's out there.
4.
So let's do Nancy's, and then we'll do one more in the beginners and move on.
I don't have names past so you're talking about the spider web?
Nancy's a spider web.
You don't have a name there?
Oh, 8, 9. No names.
Huh?
Mike, I don't know what's with you.
Yeah, it's beneath the photo. There's this is almost like PowerPoint. So
yeah, I got names on all mine.
Well, I got a name on 8 that was watermark.
No, the beneath it's not actually in the picture. The name it's beneath it with long.
Oh, I don't have that little thing anymore. Where'd it go? No, I don't have a little box with any information in it at all.
What?
I do on Anders. I do on Anders.
Okay, hold on.
Oh, there it is. Now it's appeared.
There we go. Hold on. And
What's
Nancy,
going on?
There we go. There's Nancy. So this is Nancy. Zoom back. Hopefully I'm saying your name right. Smith. The funny thing is, we're going to see one of these later. I do not like spiders. They freak me out. We'll talk about this in the post show. If I'm coming home from my walk and it's starting to get dark, I do not want to run into something that feels like a spider web, because I'll never be able to see where it's at. But spider webs themselves are kind of, I like them. They're good looking. I like, especially when they have the dew in the image like that Nancy has
like this
here.
one right here.
Yeah, I like the design and the work that went into that, and there's something for me that's artistic about a spider web.
And what I always think is amazing with that is how quickly that built. You come out one day, there's nothing there. The next day, you have something like this.
Yeah, it's incredible.
I like this. The focus is completely on the spider web. Behind it is blurred out, so it's got a very shallow depth of field. Yet the whole spider web looks to be in focus. Maybe the left hand lower is just slightly out, but I like that.
The comment for me would be this white blob in the upper left hand corner that is distracting away from it. I know when you're there, I don't know how you would have dealt with that, and if you try to do too much of it in post, you can really damage the image and make it look even worse. So I'm interested to see what AD is going to say, what we could have done here. Well,
I think that as far as post goes, I'm not really sure what you could do there other than change the crop. And immediately, the very first thing I would do is change the crop. For me, it's a targeted shot. So you know how we talked earlier about a matter-of-fact shot? If you're going to do a target like this and put the center of the web in the center of the photo, then shoot it straight on so that it's got that, or get close enough so that the web becomes more of an abstract, so that we kind of get this shallow depth of field in our face and shallow depth of field far away, and then we have that really tight focus right in the center, which gives us that kind of zoom in, zoom out kind of look. If you look at Don Komarechka's work and you look at some of his photos that he does, the ultra close macro work where he uses that type of focus trick where it's out of focus in front of you and out of focus, like almost like a tilt shift. Mm-hmm. It really lends a lot of drama to the shot. And I agree with you, Mike. It's distracting having the blown out part up there. To me, the triangle in the corner where her name is at too is distracting to me. The missing web that's not connected down there. I think that if this was closer in, and you put maybe the target of the web in the upper right or upper left.
I actually went with my hand up there to the upper left, and it actually looks good that way too.
Yeah, I would suggest, Nancy, play with the crop a little bit and try a 1-to-1 square crop and just move it around. What I like to do is make virtual copies of this in Lightroom, and I'll just try different crops and then put them up full screen with no distractions and just see which one really grabs you. One of them you'll stay on a lot longer than all the other ones, and that's the one when you're first trying to figure all that stuff out. That's usually the easiest way for me to figure out if the crop is working or not.
And she says it was a pure white flower behind her, so yeah, it's going to be hard not to.
It sure
it out.
Was. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. All right, one more in the beginners group, and this one is going to be that last one there from Jay Purcell.
Jay Purcell, and he can't watch the show tonight. Jay's from England. He's a good friend of mine. He's my gaming buddy. We play video games in co-op together, and we make these little videos of us playing games. And he's from England, and I'm from America, so we have the whole bloke Merca stuff going on when we're playing, which we have fun with. And Jay he's kind of he wants to learn to be better at his photography, and I told him, I said, you should submit something. And this is his dog. Yep. I know way too much about this is Poppy, his dog. His Poppy is a world-renowned star on YouTube, by the way. He does these things called dog watch. Like Overwatch, but it's dog watch, and he takes his dog for a walk and films it, and like thousands of people watch these videos and love Poppy. And Poppy will usually show up when we're playing video games and snore the entire time while we're playing. So we'll be playing, and Jay's mic will be going constantly while we're playing. It's hilarious. But so Jay wanted to submit something, and he put this in the group at first, and a few people had some comments. I kind of love this photo. I think for Jay, I would probably make this a square shot and just make it all about the dog, take the window and the stuff behind out. I know he's not watching, but he will pick up on this one when it's broadcast. But I just thought this was adorable, and he has such a creative mind. He's such a creative guy that it's just one of those things where I've said this before, photography or anything in life is 90% confidence and 10% talent. And I'm pretty sure most of us have more than 10% talent. And so all you got to do is build your confidence to be a winner at what you're doing. And so that's the hardest part for a lot of people, is just being confident and showing their work and getting out there. And he's doing that now, which I think is totally awesome. And
I would tell you, when I was picking the winner for this month, I stuck on this one for a while, and I kept going back to it. And I went through several of them. The Spiderweb was another one, and as I went through them, it was very difficult for me to pick. And ultimately, with this one, I keep getting drawn to the dog. You're so up front and there, you keep getting drawn to it. The heavy lean to the window in the back, it just what's happening here? Is that a pug?
Poppy lives.
Almost looks exact.
There you go.
I was gonna say, it's got the same exact face.
Yes, we've modeled Poppy. So this is for Jay. And I'm going to be painting this and sending it over to him. So we finally got Poppy awesome. Made into a real deal. So she's going to have her own.
Who's got the nice laser scanner?
AD, you got to watch his YouTube channel. And you can see back in the background, he's making some kind of, I don't know what that is, the thing back there, and that's in your cage that you're printing right now.
Oh, that's my new light. That's my new rocket light that I'm putting together. That's to pay homage to Rocket Man in North Korea. Going to send that over to him.
That's incredible. So I don't know, if ever a lean is is okay, but to me that I kept getting drawn off to that lean is so much. But then the other thing was I would like to see a little bit more exposure in the dog.
Yeah, that was the one. I think that was the one thing that he was, and I think his camera was probably thrown off by the bright window right behind, and so yeah, he was. That was the one criticism, critique that he got when he posted it to the group. I can't remember who it was. It might have been Jade or somebody. Had said that a little bit, and he didn't understand. Like he doesn't even understand like what that means. Yeah. So we've got a ways to go with Jay, but he definitely has an eye for that, and that's why I thought maybe cropping it in a little bit would get rid of the bright window, and maybe then it seems a little brighter. I don't know. I haven't played with the photo at all. I just was really super happy to see him submit something to the show. So
well, that's our last one in this group. But I will say, Jay, and anybody else that's in the beginner group, I want you to feel comfortable to post in there, ask questions. In that group, we should not be criticizing anybody. We shouldn't be doing this anywhere. We should all be trying to help each other. But especially in that group, we're all beginners, or we're there to help beginners. So I want you to feel comfortable posting this and what do you think of this? What did I do right here? What did I do wrong here? And post as often as you want, asking questions you want. So thanks for joining and entering the contest. Do it again next month. We'd love to see more images from you because you definitely have an eye. I keep getting drawn to this image, and a few tweaks here would have made a real difference there. All right, now let's go on over to the regulars group, and I don't think this guy has ever entered. With the very first image there, AD. I don't think he's ever entered. He's been in a group for a long time, and he takes some fantastic photos, and I think this is his first time entering, so I'm going to go ahead and do Carl.
Awesome.
I love this picture.
Find Carl's name. You should see the list of names I have here. There we go.
Talk about shallow depth of field.
Yeah, I think this is a perfect example of what I meant in the spiderweb shot. And, if you would have had the center of the spiderweb kind of be like the center of the flower here, I think that's very dramatic and very well done. And you notice, like, again, making a good photo that even though there are dark spots in this photo, they kind of surround and lead you to the center of that flower surrounded by color. They don't draw you away. It kind of does the exact opposite. And that's because they're balanced around the frame nicely. They're not just in one corner. It's not just a dark corner. So the way he framed this, he put it in the thirds. I mean, it's a very basic shot, but in that, it's a very professional shot as well. Well done. I really don't have anything, good colors. It's not blown out. It's, it shows that I'm glad to see it said that he's had some health issues and hasn't been able to get out. I'm glad to see that he was able to get out and get this, and I hope that continues for him because, yeah, he's definitely knows what he's doing. I mean, I don't know with a lot of these images, to be honest with you, Mike, why I'm critiquing like anybody, in the regular group, because they all seem to have a good handle, and I hope they find some sort of inspiration or something from my silly words.
And Carl, his landscape shots are just fantastic. So he posts every now and then in the group. I don't know if you've ever seen any of his, but they're just fantastic. I'm going to skip down, and we're going to do Ebenezer here.
Who?
Ebenezer? Did I say the name right?
Photo number 4.
Aha. Ebenezer. Oh, look at that write-up. Wow.
That is a long write-up. So
there you go.
I think we can get what's going on here is at traditional food shop in India, I think. Yeah. And I like the colors in here. I like, there is some distortion with the wide angle happening. And the action is happening in the photo. I think you want with a slower shutter speed because you can see some movement even in the people. Yeah,
I don't know what I was just looking. I'm trying to read through just make sure I'm not missing anything. It doesn't say what the settings were, so I really don't know. For me, an excellent job though using a wide angle lens. It probably looks like he was shooting. Man. Had to be somewhere in the, I would imagine 12 to 15 millimeters, somewhere in there, maybe 20, but I don't know. It's a little wide for a 20. But even so, very difficult. One of the number one rules in shooting people is stay away from wide angle lenses, especially if you're not like right at body midsection, because it can really distort people in weird ways. Now, you might be looking to make a very twisted, distorted image, and that's fine, and use a wide angle lens for that for sure. But I think he did an excellent job here keeping pretty much that reined in. There isn't as much distortion as I've seen from an image this wide to be able to capture this much information. And it's just a great look at a street vendor in a different country, which I really enjoy. I really feel like I'm transported there. I really feel like I'm
sitting
not
there, or standing there.
Yeah, like I'm not in some place in New York City or, in Chinatown or any other, place that this may take place in the States. I feel like I'm in India here. And he did that with the writing and stuff, showing the sign in the background. And from his explanation, he did a great job of just letting me know what he was bringing in this photo, which was the illustration of customers waiting their turn in lines, and that's clear here. I like it a lot, and this obviously was taken in very low light, so that's cool too. I don't think a flash was used here. I don't see any projected shadows anywhere, so excellent job all the way around. He was using a Nikon camera of some sorts. I don't know what it was, but no, I really like this image a lot. It's just a really good flavor of Indian street cooking, and yeah, pretty cool.
I wonder how much of it he adjusted for the pull from the wide angle lens, because you look at the very top of the picture, the triangular pattern or diamond pattern doesn't look stretched at all, which is surprising. You would have thought it would.
Yeah, and Adobe does a pretty good job if he's using that to fix a lot of those lens corrections, especially if it was like a fisheye or a wide. I had a diagonal fisheye for a while, and Adobe had a profile fixer that straightened the photo. I mean, I would use it for shooting real estate, and I could go in and shoot the photo, and in my camera, I mean, it looked like, the Joker's clown house. But then I'd go home, and the minute I plugged it into Lightroom, the profile that they had straightened every line perfectly. So I don't know whether or not he got away with that or not without knowing the equipment. It doesn't really matter. I think in the long run, just an excellent job. I think for others to learn from it, it would be nice to know that information, or how he pulled it off, because it does look like it was shot at chest level, which is what you want to do if you're using a wide angle lens and you don't want to distort people's bodies to make them look like bowling pins or big heads. You basically want to keep that camera like right in the mid range. So I think he did well by being at the table level there, the grill level. And the only criticism that I would have for him is just be careful of things like the writing on the guy's belt there. It looks like it says Scar or something. I kind of probably would have edited that out. And then the other part of the grill here that's kind of a diagonal line in the lower left-hand corner, that kind of is a little bit of a distraction when you have that dark triangle again in the corners of your image. So maybe cropping this up just a little bit and making it a little bit more wide, so it's more like an epic shot, since it is wide to begin with, may have removed that distraction, brought us a little closer to the grill in the action. But other than that, I mean, an excellent job in taking a wide angle shot like this and making it still look pretty darn natural. So especially for the guy who's in the apron there, he's he looks well proportioned, doesn't look like he's stretched out too much. And I agree with Tim on the ceiling as well.
All right, very good. This next one, I'm going to go down to the one, the pier with Jeff. And we see lots of pier shots. I've seen lots of pier shots. I like the pier shots. This one's edited different than I've seen before, and I wanted to get your take on this. This is from Jeff Schwartz. Is that right?
Yes. Yep.
I'm refraining from making a Spaceballs the movie comment about that.
It's actually Sharts. There's no
Sharts.
W.
Okay. There you go. So now I don't even
there
have to
you go.
refrain.
So you can't make that.
Spaceballs is gone.
All right. So this is a totally different edit that they've applied to this. It does look like he's got the, what do you call that? He's got it lined up right. It's escaping me now, the term that you tell us all the time, AD.
Symmetry?
Yes.
Yeah, so I know this pier, and it's I've seen this from other students of mine who brought this, and this is a very difficult place to shoot simply because the pier, the pylons are not perfectly straight. So it's difficult unless you were to walk way out into the water in order to get the ones that are straight, which are the ones that are farther out. But these ones that are closer do have a little bit of a lean to them. This is the same thing that can happen, though, with any wide-angle lens. If you don't have a wide-angle lens leveled exactly perfectly, you will get these, the pier legs are kind of splayed out at the top. You can use Lightroom has wonderful adjustments now in vertical uprights where you just draw a line along that and it'll straighten that right out like nobody's business. And when you look at the end of this pier, though, you can see the end of the pier is perfectly level and perfectly symmetrical, but the two pylons that are right in our face and the ones after that are a little bit better, they are not. And so you would have to use this tool in order to first straighten those two and then make sure that your symmetry stayed true at the end. And that's the one thing. Symmetry is symmetrical or it's not. So if you're going to take a symmetrical shot, you better make sure it's perfect. And it's one of the hardest things to do with a wide-angle lens out in the field, out of the camera. So if you want to practice something to be really amazing at, you can go out. It drives me nuts when I'm out there, so I take the shot, I go home, and I've learned to fix it in post because I be in my camera for hours just trying to get every line to line up with all the adjustment, the little, they have the diagonal lines in the viewfinder in most cameras that you can line up with, but it is frustrating. And a lot of times we don't have the time with the light. The light is only right for just a few minutes. So I've just learned that it's more important to get the light and get the mood. And then if I've got to straighten something, I can do it when I get at home if I have to. Yeah. Because I know the intention while I'm out there is to get it level. And if he was shooting from sand here, there's a good chance that'll drive you nuts too, because you'll set your tripod, you'll get everything right, and then you'll go to click the camera and your tripod will have sunk a little bit in the sand. And so then you're all back to this, and here it is. If you had a front tripod leg out, it probably sunk down a little bit and your camera's pointing downwards. So that can happen. But I read in the description, it just said that he settled for the perspective shot. I think it's a cool shot. It's a shot that, I think everybody needs to take and learn to get good at. So I don't think settling is the right word there. I think that, that might have been, you didn't get the light. That happens 90% of the time, especially if you're trying to plan for light. Most of the time, when I've had amazing light, when we just took that trip out to Yellowstone, we had 7 days, and the light was crap. Every single day that we went out to get a sunrise, there was nothing, absolutely nothing. We're driving home at the end of the evening to go to dinner, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the light rays over the Grand Teton mountain range just went ballistic. And that was it. We had to run off the side of the road, get all the camera out really fast, and we had a half an hour of this wonderful light display, but we couldn't have planned it because we had planned it all week long, and it didn't happen. It just would not break for us. So 90% of the time, you're not going to get what you want. And it's the better photographers that go out and learn to adapt to the situation and make the most of what's there who come home with the better shots. So once in a while, we'll get lucky with the great light, and that's awesome. But when we don't, take a shot like this. And I like the processing here. It's different. Kind of looks like a cross. Yeah, it looks like a cross process. I kind of dig that. I think the only thing lacking here is just if you're going to go symmetrical, you've really got to straighten these lines and learn how to do that. And you could have done it in post. So, yeah. Okay.
All right, we're running out of time here, but I got several more I want to do. So let's do this next one from Kathy Baxley, because I think she's new. I don't remember seeing her name before. Let me find Kathy's name.
Kathy Sutton Baxley.
It's too bad
Kathy's creative. Yep.
Too bad they don't put these things in
I love the colors of this.
Yes, me too.
There we go. Kathy Sutton.
I think the only distracting part on this is that I'm guessing that's a crane to the left of the bridge. Is it a boat?
It's a sailboat.
There's a sailboat in the water.
Yep. Looks like a sailboat or a buoy, one of the two. I think it's a sailboat that's low tide.
Yeah, that's what it looks like to me. Like it's
Yeah.
washed ashore or something like that. Hit ground.
Mm-hmm.
Out there. It is from Panama City, so I don't know what time frame this was taken.
Yeah, it's a wonderfully taken shot. Kathy, I will tell you that your crop marks on the lower left and upper right are showing.
Mm-hmm.
So you tilted the frame in order to level it. So you're definitely paying attention to the show in that department. Make sure that your auto crop is turned on so that you don't have those lines show up, because they're and if you need to keep the frame, if you need to keep all of that information in the frame when you do that, you can use, if you're in Photoshop, you can use content aware fill, and it'll fill those in nice and quick for you. I've done that many times myself. I love the colors, like Tim says. It's a little strange to me. It's kind of heavy vignetted. I don't know if you guys see this or not, and I don't know if it's the lights from the cars, but it looks like there's a glow of light right around the center of the photo to me.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and it's this is one of those things. These bridges are beautiful. We've been to several of them up and down through the Carolinas. There's a couple in Delaware. There's a couple of beautiful bridges down there along Dewey Beach and in that area that I've taken photos of, and they're very difficult to get the right angle. And I think this is one of those, go back and try different angles. There's a lot going on here with all the wires. I don't understand these people who put wires in our beautiful photos, but they do it all the time. Yeah. And just, things like that. Try to find an angle that's kind of got some sort of different interest. You've got the light poles that are kind of glowing in the background. An image like this is very difficult to take the beauty that's there that they give you and then be able to find because we can't, obviously, unless we're out on a boat or something, we can't get any angle that we want. We're restricted to the shore. I think I would have liked to see more of the cars going over the bridge. I love the light trails from them. I think there's some interest there. And the bridge is right pretty much almost dead center. And I would highly suggest that if you actually crop this image from the top down and from the bottom up a little bit, if you're going to keep the bridge in the center, you try to make that reflective symmetry thing go on where you have equal amounts of top and bottom. But when you do that, you're going to want to make it an ultra wide shot. So you're going to make it more panoramic. And bridges are a great subject for ultra wide shots where we move from the 16:9 crop and go even more cinematic than you are here. So just a suggestion, but it's a beautiful capture, well exposed, great nighttime photography. There's no, the technical sides of the production are very well done. So
awesome. Kathy, keep submitting there.
Absolutely.
And this next one, I think this is another new person. I love this photo. Let me pull it up. From Carlos Larrera. Carlos, let me find your name. Here we go. I love the colors in here, the butterfly, the fact that it's sideways versus flat, whatever. It's vertical rather than horizontal. The butterfly. Yeah.
I agree with Mike. There's nothing that I don't like about it.
I was, as good as the photo.
And then you got all those sunflowers on the bottom. Is really, it really CD? Brings.
Huh? Did I say CD?
No. I was just replying to Gary. He's got a whole stream of stuff going on there. He has a great idea. We were talking about the sand shot, and Gary said, take a CD with you and put it under your tripod lag.
That's a good idea.
It makes it so it doesn't sing. I said, what's a CD?
You probably have lots of them. Blank ones.
I'm just kidding. I have a CD right here.
Well, you know how things work. Whenever CDs writable CDs were expensive. You didn't buy that many, and then they got cheaper. You started buying a whole bunch of them, and toward the end of the life of them, you probably ended up with a whole stack of writable CDs you'll never use. There you go.
I have a whole room. If anybody out there needs CDs, you let me know. I probably can send you 1,000 of them and still not even put a dent in them. It's like the biggest waste product I think ever.
And Gary just found a use for them.
There you go. He did. Just a regular CD.
So Carlos says, visited a sunflower field last week, and though every single shot was nice, that's good. I'm not that good. A butterfly came at the right moment, but wasn't able to quickly change the lens and work with the zoom lens. The only way to show the beauty of the butterfly is cropping the image. I think he did a decent job of cropping it.
Yeah,
the butterfly, the body itself was a little bit out of focus there.
All right, hold on.
Yeah.
It's a moth. Let's start there. I get crazy. I get crazy with this stuff. People calling flies bees, and
it's not a spider, which is what we're going to see later.
If Don Komarechka was on the show,
he would lecture me. I know. Go ahead and lecture me. That's fine.
No, that's good. No, but it's a moth. I think it's cool. So I like the fact that it's looking out towards the sunflowers, and I was trying. I got it. There was a sun. I think I'd like to see it at a less shallow depth of field, so that I could get a little bit more of the sunflower shape, or at least have them in the screen a little bit more, because the angle's really cool. All I can think of is the moth is like, oh man, there's a whole field over there. I got one all to myself, sort of thing, right? Yeah. So I got a story out of that. But he's kind of close to the center of the image. If he moved if you just change this a little bit and could see a little bit more of the sunflowers on the bottom, and move the butterfly in the frame up a little bit more, I think that the story is kind of better shared that way. Maybe made the sunflowers and the sky like share that, You know what I'm saying?
I'm wondering, because you're reaching the edge of the sunflower at the bottom there. You see that? When you raise it up, are you losing something there? Because now you've got space underneath the sunflower, where the sunflower now goes all the way down to the bottom of the screen.
But if all he had to do was raise the camera up a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and he can keep that perspective of the edge of the. He could make the sunflower wherever he wants.
Yeah.
I mean. Yeah, okay. That's just nitpicky. I think it's a unique photo. I see all sorts of, I had a couple of sunflower fields when I was out in South Dakota, and there's not much you can do with them. It's a sunflower field. I mean, you're going to put the sunflowers in the bottom. You're going to get close-up shots. You're going to get, all sunflowers. You can highlight one or two of them. But this is a unique shot that is different from what you normally see out of a sunflower field. So that's a win. In that, the other stuff is just nitpicky opinion stuff that we always have. So, excellent shot.
Because we're running out of time, we're going to do two more. And like I mentioned, if we picked one of yours in the beginner group, I'm going to not pick one over here so we can do some others. And this is one that it was our winner. It's a great photo. Dean does great photos, but it is of a spider.
Problem, Mike.
Reminds me of the Harry Potter movie.
Freak me out, and you make them big like
especially
this.
like this one, yeah.
But he, to Dean's credit, I mean, I think he did a great job with the photo.
I think you need to take part. My buddy.
Nope.
I had this friend of mine who moved out to New Mexico, and this was 20 years ago. And when he moved out there, he went to one of the reservations, and they had these basically face your fears things. And his fear was spiders. Mm-hmm. So they had him go to a cave, and he stayed 2 nights in a cave with tarantulas.
Oh my gosh.
And he couldn't take anything with him. He just had very basic stuff. And now he doesn't fear spiders anymore.
I would need a flamethrower. You remember the show Fear Factor?
Yeah.
Yep.
I always knew that if I ever went on that show, you can tap me out like that, because all you got to do is bring in spiders and I'm done.
Yeah, I think I've seen a lot of Dean's work, and he doesn't need any stroking from me or anybody. I think he does a great job, and this has got a good story behind it, which is, again, stories are always great for a blog or something like that, but we like to see images stand on their own. So it's well taken, and I love the depth of field. I know you don't like it, Mike, but anything about it. But other than
well, it's a good photo. Look, I'll give him that.
It's excellent. I love the dew on the web and all of that. I wonder if it could be, it's kind of in the middle. I can't, because I have a black screen around it. I can't really see where it's framed out. Oh, there, I can click on it. So it's a traditional crop, and he does have the spider off to the side a little bit. So framed up, that's going to look pretty cool as well. So yeah, nice work all the way around.
Very good. And that was our winner. Okay, we're going to do one more because we've already gone over the hour, and AD has got stuff to do.
Oh no, I'm going to be up all night working on video, so it doesn't really matter. I'm playing with my new video toy, so it's all good.
All right, so the last one we're going to do is, because I thought it was kind of unique, is this one from Amber Salad?
Yeah.
Salad? Yeah, she has won in the past, and she took this. Let me find her name, and then I'll come back to it. There we go. There we go. This is actually, I'll read it. I took this earlier this month, but was hoping to do something better to submit. This is a McFarlane mini scene of The Walking Dead, Daryl, motorcycle, and zombie. This was shot more for the editing. I used a speed light to set up behind to make composite easier. I use a speed light in front, but not very strong, and not positive it fired. And then she put a before after actually in her comments there. So this is actually, I guess, a little model.
Yeah, and I love it. I love the creativity. I know Amber's had stuff on before, and she obviously has listened to what we've said about having fun with this kind of stuff. I have to ask Amber, because I think she's won the Lightroom preset pack. Did you use my walking zombies preset? I mean, it's right there for you. No, but yeah, it's got those colors from. If you ever watch The Walking Dead, they have a specific palette that they use in the show, and that's what my preset was designed around, so that I could recreate that type of look. But I love this. I think this would be my winner if I was to pick out of all the shots this month. This one stood out as something different, someone trying something different. I want to give people, too, the other idea is if you have a big screen TV in your house, most of them today will take a USB stick. If you want to experiment, especially through the winter months with fun stuff, load up photos like this. Use shallow depth of field like a wide open aperture, and try some of this stuff and set up your stuff in front of the TV screen and take the photo. You can have any photo you want in the background. You can have a sunset, you can have an old city, you can, whatever. And you can play around with that sort of thing. If you're in the group, Michael Demagal has been having a blast with just around the house stuff and been doing some incredible work with that. And I've been loving watching his journey of him trying new stuff. And yeah, he's playing with the water droplets now. I sent him over to Corey's Flickr page, and he learned about how to the water droplets. And I'm not sure if he learned it from there, but I know that she talks all about how her rig is set up, and he's been doing that. He's been playing with the crystal ball stuff, which I love to do as well. So it's been a real treat to see that. And now Amber's doing this as well. And I just love that. You're going to be a better photographer for doing this stuff. People might look at this and think, oh, it's just a little model and it's silly. Well, I'll tell you what, she's learning an awful lot about composition and color and all that kind of stuff. And the number one thing we run into with any of these groups is composition and storytelling. And so she's learning that. And I think makes this an immediate winner in my book. So.
Yep, I like that photo too, and I'm trying to find where I have this somewhere, the listing of all the winners in the past, so I can see if she's won. I meant to share this with you.
I'm pretty sure that we gave her a Lightroom preset pack.
That's not.
Might be wrong. I could be wrong.
What would I have called that? It's got too many things out here. All right, so I don't want to watch me search for this thing. Let's go ahead and pick a winner. Where was cancel? What was that popped up? .net failure.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. If you have Skype running, that there was a certificate error earlier in their advertising.
Yeah, I saw that. Yep.
That's nice.
That is great.
Way to go, guys. Send that malware right to my Skype. It's great.
Well, unfortunately, my antivirus was blocking all that. So
yeah,
but it kept popping up, and I said, what is going on here? All right, so we need to pick a winner. Well, if y'all want to review that while I try and find the list. Tim, do you have, since you're new, do you have anybody that you'd like to recommend? You don't even know who's won in the past.
No, I do not.
So, Mike, Shelly Sullivan's in the chat, and she said, did the winner change? Different photo winner on the website.
What?
People are checking your work, mister.
She may be, I think she's right.
Just a clarification there.
Yep, she's right. Spencer Sullivan won. Let's do that photo while I look for the list. Hold on.
Yeah, I had when you said the winner, and I pulled it up, and I'm 11. Like, that doesn't look like a spider to me.
Yep,
yeah, I was thinking. I was like, once again, I didn't pick the winner.
Spencer Sullivan. Now let me find.
And I think I did pick this one, so I feel better.
Who corrected us? Who corrected me? Spencer?
It would be Shelly.
Oh, good. So Spencer didn't. Spencer didn't hear me. Pretend that didn't happen.
Well, I don't know. Spencer might be watching it with Shelly.
Pretend that didn't happen. This is the winner, Spencer Sullivan. I'll put his name up again. Spencer Sullivan is the winner.
Edit.
Which is a great photo. Plus, I don't have to look at that spider all month long. I won't edit that out. I'll leave my error there. Sorry, Spencer. Yep. Okay. So this is Spencer's image of. Let me. I don't have his words up here. Hold on. So living in southern Utah, I get to experience some of the best night skies of the summer. I took this photo on my grandmother's property in the mountains. Had to pull out my cell phone light to illuminate the barn. Wow. 25-second exposure, 3200 ISO. And to use your Rokinon lens there, AD. 14 millimeter 2.8.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, it's a good shot.
Exposure. I wonder how many times he had to take it to figure out 25 seconds was the right, and then had to use his cell phone to brighten up the barn.
Yeah,
I'm sure that's not one shot. This is multiple shots he took.
Well, and then my question goes into I love the way it's framed out. It's good foreground, obviously Milky Way. I'm so burnt out. I got to be honest with you, on Milky Way shots. I could never see one ever again and be perfectly happy. But just keep in mind important things about Milky Way shots. You cannot take a Milky Way shot in one shot. Okay, it's not possible if you're going to print it and have a foreground that's lit up like he has here and the Milky Way itself in the same shot with one frame. You cannot do it, folks. I don't care what photographer out there tells you can do it. If you've got a subject that's this close and you have your lens set to infinity, which it has to be set to in order for the actual sky to be sharp, then you're not going to have the barn in focus. That's a physics thing. It's not going to work. So I love these people who post these photos, and not Spencer, because this is an honest photo. But I've seen plenty of Milky Way shots that are composites, and these guys are like, yep, one felt right out of the camera. And it's not. And I don't like the fact that they lie to people and don't show them the right way to do it. It's very important to let people know that if you're going to have a foreground and you want it lit like Spencer has here, and you want the stars to be crisp, and you're going to print this because someone's going to see this. I hate to tell Spencer, someone's going to see this, and they're going to come up to him and they're going to say, hey man, I absolutely love this shot. I would like to get a 30 by 40 print of this for my wall, for my office. And Spencer's going to crap his pants at that point in time because he's not going to be able to produce that shot. If there's noise or anything, when you blow it up, you're going to see all that in the shot, or you're going to see the blurriness. And that it looks great on the screen right now. It's a wonderful shot. But you got to be careful, because I had this happen to a student of mine, and she couldn't sell the shot, and she lost out on a $3,500 sale.
Wow.
Because she couldn't print the photo. It wasn't printable. When she blew it up and got it back, she's like, I can't give this to him. I can see everything now. So just be careful. If you're taking a shot like this, you're going to want to do one exposure and do it just for the barn and light it up. The way he did it was great. and get that all in perfect focus. Now, it's very difficult to do at night. There's a lot of tutorials out there on how to get infinity focus and how to focus in the dark. So make sure that you pay attention to those. A lot of preparation is always going to end up helping you. If you were there earlier in the day, you could set up, you could get your tripod set up. If this is your land, you could get it set up and leave it there. Then just bring the camera out. You could pre-focus on the barn so you knew that it was exactly perfect. And then mark your lens for infinity so that you can do the stars in the dark. That's the important thing that most people fail. You can't autofocus in the dark. It's not going to focus on the Milky Way. So you need to focus. Right. You need to make sure that you know exactly where infinity focus is. So you go out during the day and you take your lens and you point at something way far away and you manually focus your lens so that it's perfectly sharp. Do some test shots. Once you have that, you put a little piece of tape across your lens and you can mark that tape so that when you go out at night, and then you slit it so that it can still, the focus ring can still turn. Then you go out at night and you know exactly where to set it. You get the flashlight out, you line the two lines up, you know you're in perfect focus, point it at the stars and get your shot. So his settings were good. I think that the 3200 ISO is a little high. I've been able to take a 25 second exposure at probably more in the 1600 range and still been able to pull out the colors and everything just fine without excessive noise. If your camera performs okay, then the 70's fine at 3200, then go for it. You just got to be very careful of chromatic noise in the end result. So you own this land. I would highly suggest that you keep what you got here because it's beautifully framed. It's a nice setup, and you plan ahead to go out and get this barn in perfect focus. Get that in perfect focus and then composite that in with the beautiful Milky Way behind it, just like you have it, but make sure both of them are dead on. And then you're going to have an image that's going to sell and sell and sell, sell, and keep going. And it's going to afford you other trips to go other places. I mean, Utah is wonderful. It's the darkest skies in the country, I think, right?
Yeah.
Out there. Arches, when we went to Arches, it was amazing. I mean, Maine, when we were up in Maine and we shot the Milky Way up there, to be able to see the full Milky Way with your eyes, to see this beautiful colors with your eyes. And I know that when we were in Arches, we could see it as well. So just, do the research and make sure you're taking the multiple exposures if you're not. I can't zoom in on this to see, but I do see some chromatic noise in the barn. So I'm just assuming that it's there. But I'm going to be willing, if a one-to-one is going to expose a lot of this image, that's what a print would do when you printed it. You're going to see all those little things. So just to help you prep for the future, and hopefully you'll sell, because this is an image that'll sell, man. I can tell you right now. Yep.
All right. So thankfully, Shelly was out there and corrected me, because not only is it, I don't know where she was seeing it, but not only is it on the Facebook group, which is one of the best ways to enter the contest. It's right there at the top. I should have seen that. But it's also, if you go to jpegduraw.com, there's a link right there.
Wait a minute.
Photo contest
Wait a
winner.
minute. Didn't you do it?
And I did both of these. Yes, I did do both of these. Spencer's name right there. The whole photo, a bigger photo than what you're seeing here. I linked to Spencer's Facebook page. Yeah, I did all this. I guess it's just been a while. So,
Mike, I think you're losing more than weight when you're doing all this walking, buddy.
Something's happening to me. So as long as I got us here, so two good ways to enter, either through our Facebook group, which is the beginners group, or the regular, which is facebook.com/group/jpegduraw. And then the beginners group has got some weird long thing there. I'll show you a better way to get to it in just a second. Or through our website. You go to jpegduraw.com, go up to photo contest entry, and did it click? Yeah. And then you got the links right there to enter right through our website, or you can come down here and here's the links to the Facebook groups to enter. You can also go over to a social link, and over here you've got all our Facebook links. There's the main group, the beginner group. We even have a sports and boudoir group. And then we got all of our other social media. If you want to subscribe to this show, we have that over here in the subscribe link. They got audio format, the video format for both the regular podcast we do, which is supposed to be every week, and then this show, the photo review show, which we do once a month to review the previous month's photos. That is only available in video format out here on iTunes, Video large, video small, and on YouTube and Vimeo. And I guess there's an RSS feed too. There you go. So love to have you enter. I think this month both groups are, the theme is open for both groups. If I remember right.
Cool.
All right, and we do have to pick a winner. And now I'm kind of leaning toward one person.
Sorry.
But if you guys have a suggestion, if we need to jump out for a second and nobody can hear us, we can do that too. Any suggestions?
You mean not a winner for the contest, but a winner for the Lightroom thing?
Yes, winner for the Lightroom.
Well, that's you were checking on Amber, I think it was.
I have the list, and Amber, what's her last name? Salat? Yeah, she's won. She's won before. Salat.
Yeah.
She's won before.
Yeah.
Back in January.
Okay, but we're picking from the beginner group, or are we picking from the regular group?
We can pick from either. We can pick from either group. How about we jump out for 1 second?
Sure.
Come right back. I'm gonna leave you guys with some photos. I thought I was gonna leave you guys with some photos. Hold on. There we go. Quick play. Get rid of that. And there we go. And all right, we're back. And AD is going to give us two winners. We're going to do two winners tonight. One from beginners group, one from the regulars group. From the beginners group, we're going to do, can I show her name? I'll just say her name. Kristen Lee Anderson from the beginners group. And what you're winning, I'll get AD's website up over here. This is, where am I at? There we go. There we go.
Well, Mike, we have to do these more often.
We do. There we go. So this is that's not your webpage.
That's my Patreon page.
We'll get to that.
Thanks, though. I appreciate the.
We're going to go to your Patreon page in a second. I don't even have that pulled up. What the heck?
Man, who are you?
I don't know.
Bring Mike back.
This is awful. All right, so the explorographer.com is where to go. We're going to show his Patreon page in just a second. And over here, you go to the store, then Photo Tools store. And what Kristen Lee Anderson is going to win here is the Premium Lightroom Preset Pack.
Yes,
I will be sending you. I'll be contacting you in the next week or so with the code and how to get that. So she is one from the, what'd you say, 45?
Yeah, there's 45 presets in it now.
Presets. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
It says 40, but you got 5 bonus ones there, Kristen. 45 now. All right, so Kristen Lee Anderson is a winner from our beginners group, and from the regulars group, we're going to do the sunflower image from Carlos Larrera. Hopefully you say that. I don't think Carlos is out there in chat, but Carlos, I will contact you too with how to get that. And if you want to go to get it yourself, again, just go to theexplorographer.com, go to store, and then down to Photo Tools store, and then you'll have a bunch of things you can get there. But while you're on AD's website, do you have a link from your website over there?
Mm-hmm. It's up under the Learn thing.
Up under the Learn. Yes, there you go. So up here under Learn, there's a Patreon link. We'll click that. We'll go over to his Patreon page.
Hopefully I fixed that.
And it does work. Thecreators.com, where you get some bonus material that you can't get anywhere else except for on AD's Patreon page here. And you can become a Patreon for, I think, what is the little
$1
$1 a month is the minimum. You can do more, of course, if you want. And
no contract.
And you get different access out there. And you're doing, what are you calling the new thing you're doing every week or so?
Yeah, so I do. Right now, I'm doing a voice only, no video, weekly podcast for photographers called the Weekly Phat, and it's PHAT, and it's photography talk. And essentially, what I do is hit up the latest photography stories, give like my own personal twist on it. But it's basically your, water cooler talk for the week. And the Patreon folks get it a week ahead of time. And then I just release it to public. And, by that time, it's not really news anymore. So you guys, without having to go to all these websites to get your news, I pick up the hottest stories and talk about them in an audio-only podcast. And it's usually only about 15 minutes long. And the reason why I made it audio-only is because we're all busy. We all have things to do. And videos are great, but videos require you to look at them, pay attention, do all this kind of stuff. Where audio, you can just play it on your phone. You can download it. You can stream it. You can do whatever you want. I'm streaming off SoundCloud, which has now been revived, and SoundCloud is back better than ever now. So, so that's what I'm doing. That's just that. We're also doing a live stream coming up on October, first Monday in October. We're bringing back live stream Mondays, which is for Patreon subscribers only.
Cool.
And essentially what it is it's a live stream. It's going to teach you how to make photography tutorials and how to do online live streaming if you're a photographer. So if you want to have your own show, you want to have your own podcast, that sort of thing, I'm going to be showing you how to set up the software, what kind of equipment to get. And we do it in sections. So we do like an hour each Monday for like 4 weeks or so. And you can join me live and ask questions, and I'll demonstrate stuff and all sorts of crazies.
Apparently I need to watch that because I'm reverted back to the beginner.
A refresher course. I'm not going to go as deep as you are, Mike, because this is just a beginner thing. So we're going to be working with, OBS and a microphone and a webcam.
Very
but
nice.
I'm going to be talking about, using the Stream Deck and talking about the new Shuttle Pro 2 for editing and that kind of stuff, and basically letting people what they're getting into to start streaming and to start having their own production and the requirements. Because I know a lot of people are like, I don't know how to make a tutorial for other people. I know things and would like to help somebody out. So that's essentially what it's going to be. We did one on backups, which
Yep.
I think blew up Crash Plan and made them go out of business, I guess, once they saw that. I don't know what happened there. And we also did one on Adobe Premiere, on the basics of Adobe Premiere, basically how to edit videos from your Mavic or your drone or your cell phone or whatever, put together a simple music video. And it's Patreon driven. So the thing that's great about Patreon is go in, you tell me what you want to learn, and that's what we work on. So we have all sorts of levels, from $1 subscriber, which basically gets all the free stuff. You get the podcast, you get the live streams, you get the events. And then up from that moves into mentorship. So like a $35 a month thing, you get to have me for an hour a month, and we talk about your business plan. We talk about what direction you're moving in, what we can do to kind of better your photography business, that sort of stuff. So it's all, it's all kind of explained there in the sidebar, and I'm constantly tweaking that stuff and making it better. I think the greatest thing about Patreon is that you can try it for $35 if you want to do the mentorship. We can go through it for a month. We can focus. If it's not for you, you just stop. I mean, you don't have to, you're not roped into it. It's not like a difficult thing. It's just,
Right.
You can be in for a month, or you can be in for, some of my folks have been with me for over 2 years now. And just, I help them every day. We work on stuff together, and they have connections with me outside of the podcast and this kind of stuff. They have a direct line.
Yeah. I mean, Patreon's nice because you haven't made a lifelong commitment, but it's a good way to support your photographer or whoever. There's more than just photographers out there on Patreon, but it's a good way to support some of the people that you're enjoying the work that they're doing and gaining something from the work they're doing. It's a way to support them and do that. And in the case of what a lot of Patreons do, and you're doing, is you're getting a little bit extra too, even when the smallest amount, you're getting a little bit extra. You get a lot extra as you go up in a dollar amount.
Yeah, and we have goal. Yeah, once we reach a certain goal, I give away things. So I get, awesome. I get things from affiliates and that kind of stuff. So I do have things that I can afford to give away and that sort of thing. So once we get to a certain level, that's as we grow, people benefit from that. So
cool.
Or as I grow, I talk in the third person. I don't know. That's weird.
Well, AD, thanks for coming out. Tim joined us tonight. We did a little bit of JB Raw, and we also did the photo review. Thanks for coming out, guys. We're going to go into the post show here and talk a little bit about how I'm kicking Tim's butt.
Yes, you are.
All right. Until next show, whenever we do this again, keep it raw. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Night.
All right. Yes, Tim. Obviously, I couldn't walk tonight. Let me put up the post show.
I walked this afternoon. I got
Mike. I don't know how to say this, but you couldn't do much tonight.
No. I am out of it. I could not do.
Poor man.
I came down here late. And I felt off kilter. I had to reboot. Things were messing up. A new version of vMix is out, and 3 of my machines weren't upgraded yet. It's like, so it was just one thing after another. I know it's small problems, but
plus you got the creators update too coming, right? Or did you get it? Or
I don't have that posted yet. Yeah, so Tim, I'm barely over 100,000 steps right now. So
100,096.
Yeah, I will tell you. Here's the deal. My boss at work, because I've been kicking his butt too. He's now in 3rd place. He's been beating you, but
wow, throwing me under the bus from somebody else too.
Oh yeah, you've been in like 6th place on my thing for a while. You finally moved up, but you were down there for a while, buddy. Anyway,
I've been real busy at work. I just haven't had a chance.
Anyway, he was giving me crap because I was doing all this walking, and he says, wait a second. For every mile you go, it takes you over 3,000 steps. I'm only getting like 2,300 steps a mile. Something's not right with your thing. You're over-reporting your steps, which is what he thought. So he thought I needed a 25%. I needed a 25% haircut on my steps, and that if he did 75,000, it was equal to my 100. What we found out was my stride somehow was set wrong. It was way too short. My steps were always correct, which I could not understand why I was getting this wrong reporting, because I would go out there and do 25 or 100 steps and measure, count it off and look, and it was right. But Fitbit does the step pretty much right. It uses the step and what it calculates for your stride to calculate a mile, because this version doesn't have a GPS. So it's saying, all right, because your stride's only 20 inches, you need over 3,000 steps to get a mile. My stride wasn't 20 inches. It's bigger than that. So I finally fixed it, and now I'm back down to around 2,300 steps to make a mile, which was not what he wanted to hear, because now it means that all this time my miles have been underreported.
That's my Fitbit uses the GPS on my phone. So when I take my walk, it's about 3.25 miles every day when I walk, and it's always pretty accurate as long as it's connected to the phone. But I am getting new Fitbit. It's going to be delivered on Thursday.
Which one are you getting?
The Ionic.
I don't even know what that is.
You always want to check your maps too after you do that, because
I do.
Yeah, we've had our maps, because I have GPS in my watch and with my phone. And they're supposed to work together so that they get it right. But every once in a while, we'll be out biking somewhere, and somehow the map will mess up and like shows us going off into the middle of nowhere in a straight line and then back. And it adds that into that. I'm like, no, I didn't go anywhere.
I didn't go there.
So
yeah,
and all of I think one of the big keys for me. And if you're like me out there, one of the big keys as you're starting to exercise more and do this stuff is you don't want to go so far that you injure yourself and take yourself out of the game. So you want to push yourself, but you don't want to injure yourself. So I think at this stage of where I'm at, running would not be a good choice for me. I think I'd injure myself. So all I'm doing is walking, and that's as long as I pick up the pace every now and then or do something different, it is pushing me. What I do is I got an app called Runkeeper. It's not new. It's been out there for a while.
Yeah, it's an old app.
Yeah, and I like that app. Of course, I'm not a runner, but it doesn't matter. So what I have it doing is I'm playing Pandora on my phone because I like to have a little bit of music on it at a low rate so I can still hear the ambient noise. But I'm playing Pandora, and they got a new thumbnail channel, which is like every song you've ever thumbed up. So like every song that's playing right now on my Pandora thing is awesome. But of course, I'm not discovering anything new because I'm listening to the same stuff. But I got that going, and every 5 minutes, I have Runkeeper give me an update. So like last night, I got my first update and I go, oh, that's at a actually pretty good pace. And then I got my next update, and I'm doing, it's about an hour and 5 minutes is my total walk. And as I'm 30 minutes in, I go, I'm not that far off of a record pace. So the whole rest of the way, I'm trying to kick it up and go faster. And eventually I end up at a record pace for me for that night.
So how long does it take you to walk a mile? What is your per mile?
I can do,
on
so
average.
I'm doing a, let's say, I think it's about 3.1 miles in an hour and 5 minutes.
Oh, I'm beating you in that area then.
Yeah. This is, so all that positive
And
we just talked about.
that's the walk I have with my when I walk with my wife and we walk 3 miles, it takes me about an hour and 5.
Yeah.
When I walk at lunch, it's 53 minutes for a little over 3 miles.
What is your,
So
do you know what your your pace is?
Today was 17:04.
Yeah, see, that's well beyond my maximum. So, all this positive thing about me walking and doing all that kind of stuff. What's frustrating is sometimes I'm out there on the trail and I can see somebody and maybe they're 50 yards in front of me, and they look like they're on a nice Sunday stroll. Just nothing's wrong. I'm just walking around, and I look around and pause every once in a while and go, I'm going to catch that person. And as I start walking and trying to catch up to them, I realize I think they're pulling away. And I'll start trying to go a little bit faster. Go, dadgummit, look like you're stressed a little more. You're pulling away from me. And so it's, that I try not to let that bother me and realize I need to gauge myself against me and just walk. But I also am enjoying, I'm seeing some of the same people every night or every morning whenever I do this. And, although you're just passing, you're not, I don't want them to stop and talk to me because I am trying to time myself. You're just passing, and they may think I'm a creeper when I start talking to them. You kind of build up a little bit of relationship. You see, it's nice. You see that person coming in distance. I get a little smile. They get a little smile. It's like,
absolutely.
Hey, you keep going. It's nice to see each other out there. It's a nice
and I see a lot of times the same people, and it's always the same smile. And I always think to myself, this thing, you're trying to exercise like I am.
Yep. Anyway.
Well, I will catch you again, Mike. May not be this week because tomorrow I'll be sitting in a meeting all day, but I will catch you.
Well, why don't we go ahead and end this because I know AD's got lots of work to do. And guys in chat, thank you for coming out. I'm going to go ahead and end the live stream here. Gary, Jordan, Nancy, Jade, Kristen, Shelly especially, and I'm sure I missed somebody else. Jenny Pierce was even out there for a little while. But thank you guys. I'm going to go ahead and end the live stream. See you guys.
Well, it's good to be